Guys, welcome. I hope you're doing well today. I would love to hear what you're having for dinner. And if you haven't, or if you didn't like what you had for dinner, tell me what you wish you had for dinner. I see Lisa B was here, Lisa Figalicious, Vicky Pathless, Beverly Bradford, Jody Gardner, Mike is here. Who else? She's a maker. Uh, uh, you guys, I love all your chats at the beginning. Crimson Mikey's here. Hi, Mikey. Howdy. Melanie Copeland is here. Uh, Dana's here. She had chili fries. That sounds delicious. Grim's here. Made a big old pot of spaghetti. Denali Mike's here. Lisa's saying, please, we can't mention the C word of food, which is delicious. James Huntsman, steaks and asparagus. That sounds yummy. Um, Mayor had Arby's. Okay. So we are going on with our divorce drama, and we've got new outfits for the day. I have to say I preferred the other outfits from the other day, but we get what we get. We don't get upset. So we're going to go ahead and watch that shortly here. I hope everybody's doing well. It is Friday. It is October the 20th, 2023. And I am glad to see you all. It's been a whirlwind of a week, but I am glad that we're all getting together on this Friday night. I think that Judge Surfer Dude was looking forward to Friday night during this trial. Sometimes it's so frustrating to watch these trials when we watch less time being taken on serious criminal matters and then all this time wasted on whatever. But regardless, let's go ahead and get started on that, and we will see how it goes. Oh, look, it's right on the screen. Oh my God. Doing so good so far, Paisley. Just keep it up.
All right. We're on the record on case number 2317423 DM Kusterman versus Kusterman. Today's date is October 18th, 2023. This is the second day of our motion hearing, or at least our hearing on the child-related issues. Ms. Lentz, you and your client are top left to me. If you'd state your names for the record, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Elena Lentz for the plaintiff, Jennifer Kusterman.
Jennifer Kusterman.
And Ms. Schmelzer.
Lori Schmelzer on behalf of the defendant, counter plaintiff, Kevin Kusterman, who's also present via Zoom in my office today.
Kevin Kusterman.
Thank you. And just procedurally speaking, we finished with direct for the plaintiff, and we are going to actually start with defendant's case today. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor. I think we had discussed off the record yesterday an agreement to allow me to call my witnesses out of order. To call my witnesses who are not my client out of order, just out of respect for their time and to get them moving along today. And if that's still okay, I would ask to do that.
Yeah, that's the plan, and we'll resume, or at least start plaintiff's cross-examination once we finish with these folks in the waiting room this morning, or whenever we're done with them.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. Apologize.
No, I was just going to say, who your first witness, please.
Dale Kusterman, please.
Okay, that's the Dale with no last name, right?
I'm guessing, yes.
Okay, all right.
Dale.
I just wanted to make sure. Good morning.
Good morning, Judge.
And are you Mr. Kusterman?
Yes, I'm Dale Kusterman, Kevin's father.
Excellent, thank you. Oops, just a second. I'm just typing this so we can see. Sir, you've been called as a witness in this matter by Ms. Schmelzer, her client. She's going to have some questions for you, and then if she chooses to, Ms. Lentz may have some questions for you, okay?
Okay.
All right. If you'd raise your right hand, please. Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Ms. Schmelzer.
Mr. Kusterman, thank you for being here today. My name's Lori Schmelzer, and as you might know, I represent Kevin Kusterman. And this is a hearing or a proceeding regarding Mr. Kusterman and Mrs. Kusterman's children. If you could start by stating and spelling your name for the record.
Dale Kusterman, DALE KLOOSTERMAN.
Do you know either or both Jennifer Kusterman and Kevin Kusterman?
Yes, I do.
How do you know them?
Kevin is my son and Jen is my son or my daughter-in-law.
How long have they been married, if you know?
I believe 16 to 17 years, might be 17 this year.
And do you know their minor children, Kelvin, Callie, and Kelsey?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Okay, and can you go ahead and describe to me why they would think possibly of naming their child Kelvin when his father's name is Kevin? Do you think you might explain that? Was he dropped on his head? Was Kevin dropped on his head, or I'm not sure. Somebody was dropped on their head when they came up with that naming convention.
And how do you know them?
They're pretty an integral part of our family. So, and they're staying with us now every other week.
They're your grandchildren, is that
That's
correct?
correct. That's correct.
And to your knowledge, presently, are Jennifer and Kevin Kusterman currently living separately?
Yes.
If I could, for a moment, just direct your attention to the time before they were living separately, when they lived together, just so that we have some context here. How often did you generally interact with either of the parents or the children, again, before the separation?
We would see them pretty regularly, a couple times a week, quite often. In the summertime, we'd see them more because we'd go boating with them or something. And when they had sporting events, we'd see them at the sporting events. So probably in the wintertime, not quite so much.
And during that time, did you have the opportunity to observe their home life or routines as far as child rearing and just general life during the marriage?
Yes.
Could you just briefly describe sort of when and how you were observing their home life?
When they, I guess when we would go over for birthday parties, or whatever occasion it might be, stop in, we would see how Kevin and Jen both reacted with the kids, and how the kids reacted around them and the kids reacted around whoever else was there, including us.
Did you spend time in the home with the Kusterman family?
Yes.
And you mentioned going to sporting events. Was that sporting events for the children?
Yes, that's correct.
About how often would you go to those events?
In the summertime, the girls were playing softball and Kelvin was playing baseball. And Cheryl and I would try to, at least one of us, attend all those games.
And how about in the winter?
In the winter, we've been, we haven't snowmobiled with them, but we have skied with them, I believe, years ago. Not quite so much in the winter, but we do have a place in Florida where we go down for a few weeks, and sometimes.
Humble brag, place in Florida that you go down for a couple weeks. Oh, life goals. Also, guys, if you're just getting here, go ahead and hit the like button. I'm off the screen because Canadian internet is so atrocious. I'm embarrassed. You know, I didn't know this before I traveled recently and tried to use hotel internet, which you guys all think is really shitty. And the speeds I was getting were so much faster than what I paid top fucking dollar for here. I'm mad. I'm penning letters as we speak to telecom companies.
The family would come down to Florida and we'd spend some time down there also.
And did you ever attend any of the hockey games that the children play?
Yes, I did.
Were they local or out of town? Did you travel?
Both. We did travel. We traveled some. Last weekend, we ended up taking Callie to Midland on, I believe it was Saturday for a game.
During the time that the parties were living together, again, before the separation, were there times that you assisted with transportation or, childcare of any kind?
Oh, absolutely. There would be times when we'd get a call. Can you pick up one of the kids at school, bring them home, or take them to wherever, sporting event, pick them up from school, take them to practice a number of times.
And were you getting those calls from which of the parents or both?
It would be, we've received calls from both of them.
And the parties are currently separated now, is that correct?
Correct.
Do you know when that occurred?
I believe in May, around the 1st of May, might even been in the late April.
And how do you know that?
Because Kevin showed up on our door and said, I need a place to live. Jen and I are separated. And of course, we welcomed him back into our house. So.
And is there plenty of room in your home for Mr. Kusterman and the children?
Yes, in fact, CPS was here to confirm that. I don't remember the date of that, but it was, I believe, in June, and they were satisfied that everything was fine.
Given the familial relationship that you testified to during the marriage, had the children previous to the separation spent time at your home?
Yes. Yeah, they would come over quite often in the summertime, and they'd go down to our beach. We have the subdivision owns a beach on East Bay, and they'd come over and swim.
And that sort of leads me to about how
Humble brag, your subdivision owns what? Okay.
far away do you live from the marital home?
Oh, maybe 3 miles.
So is it fair to say that the children are pretty familiar with your home?
Yes, they are.
Quite often.
Yes.
Okay. Kind of now focusing a little bit on the time period since the separation. Has Mr. Kusterman, and I'm sorry, Kevin Kusterman, because I know you're also Mr. Kusterman,
Listen, Presto, if that's the case, that might be the case. You know me. You know me. Okay, boo. I haven't done any extra research on this. I'm as far as we are right now. So if they haven't mentioned about their privates right now, I don't know about it. All I know is this Judge Surfer dude, we watch him a lot. Whenever I catch him, I'm thanking Paisley of the past for downloading these because they were disappeared today when I went on to the YouTubes. No spoilers. Regardless, you're gonna get my real reaction. Also, if you're just getting here, fucking click the like button. This channel is growing so slowly. You guys are not helping me. I don't know what's going on.
has Kevin Kusterman exercised parenting time with the children in your home?
Yes, he has.
And that was time without Jennifer Kusterman present. Is that fair to say?
That's correct. That's correct.
About how often would he have parenting time with the children in your home?
Well, every other week since the split, they've been here and he's taken care of them.
So is it fair to say you've had the opportunity to observe his interactions with the children during that period of time?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. And so can you just kind of describe like when and how, what the home life is there? Because I know you're there, but you know, how are those interactions working?
It's working fine. Obviously this isn't something we planned, but it's working out well. The kids are fitting in and getting along really well with not only Cheryl and I, but they're really mingling with their dad like normal.
Is in your observations, is Kevin Kusterman an active and involved parent with the children?
Absolutely.
Can you give a few examples of how he's active or involved with his children?
Well, he has taken them since the kids were in school at Middle East high school, or middle school rather. He's brought the girls or Callie or Calvin to school since they've been in there, which is 4 years. And so that's just the start of the day. And then when it's his parenting time, he picks up the kids from school. So at that time, you know, he brings them back here, and he's brought in groceries, he's brought in help fix the meals for the kids. And so if they have to run to practice of some sort, whether it's volleyball practice or whether it's hockey practice, he does that. Cheryl and I have done very little of that.
With respect to sort of, you know, grandparents helping out with the kids, has he relied on you any more or less or the same as your experience when the parties were residing together and married and living together?
I would say probably just because the situation's probably been a little more, but not an overabundance. It's usually if he has a pinch or if one child has scheduled something and another child has the same time, only he can't be at both places at once. He'll ask if one of us can drop off one of the kids.
Do you have any feelings of whether or not he's sort of relegating or handing over parenting duties to you, even though you guys are living in the same home, or when he's asking for help?
No, absolutely not. That's not Kevin.
Have you, and again, I guess I'm kind of flip-flopping timelines here, because I would assume it would be before, but maybe I shouldn't assume. Prior to the separation, had you had any opportunities to make observations of Jennifer Kusterman's interactions and parenting with the children?
Yes, I have.
And what kind of observations or did you notice about those interactions?
I would say basically all in all, Jen is probably a good mother. I did witness one episode where I thought she was a little bit inappropriate, but all in all, I'd say she's a good parent.
What? You're gonna have to elaborate on that one, sir.
Since the separation, have you had much interaction with Jennifer Kusterman?
Probably I've seen her at hockey games, and she's come up to me a few different times and asked me certain questions. And did I see this, or did I see that happen, or do I know the score of this game where the other child maybe was at? But that's about it.
Have those interactions generally been positive or good?
Yes.
Has there been anything at all since the separation that that you found concerning about her behavior or that you observed?
I really don't think so. And everything that I had an issue or a question with something that happened many years, probably about 4 years ago. But other than that, I haven't had any issues with her.
Yes, sir. That's all the evidence we've seen as well, which is 4-year, 5-year, 6-year-old evidence about somebody yelling at a kid, which I get is not great, but you know what I'm saying. Also, guys, I'm here. I'm just off the screen because Canadian internet sucks so fucking bad that if I get on the screen, our frame rate per second goes so down.
During when the time the parties were living together, were there occasions that you would be called over to the home while the parties were having some sort of, you know, disagreement?
That happened on numerous occasions over the 15, 16 years, where we would be called out. Cheryl, my wife, and myself would be called out there because Jen would invite us out there because she was complaining that Kevin was being unrealistic. And so, of course, we would go out there sometimes really late at night and listen to both sides and try to calm the situation. But it usually, of an hour of being out there and talking through whatever the situation was, it was usually diffused to the point where things were civil. And basically we would leave that after spending the time out there. And this was basically all the time, that every time that we were out there, we would get in the car and we would discuss what had happened, what we observed. And we found that Jen's complaint, normally whatever it was not something that we thought was a big deal or we didn't agree with. When Kevin explained his side of the situation, probably 9 chances out of 10, we kind of sided with what he said. We didn't say that, but that was what the talk was between the two of us.
And to be clear, was it Jennifer Kusterman calling you to come to the home, or Kevin, or both, or who did that?
No, it was always Jen. Kevin did not want us out there because he felt that Jennifer and him could solve the issues without dragging his parents into the conversation. But Jen wanted, I'm sure she wanted us to know what the problem was. And so she's the one that called us.
And how often would that occur?
Well, it was on less than a yearly event, put it that way. After 6 months would go by, we would kind of joke, well, we haven't been out there lately. You think things are going okay? And so that was a kind of like a talk between my wife and I. I said, well, it's about time for another call. And sure enough, we'd get another call. So, and of course, we would go out there and listen and try to mediate everything.
So if I heard your testimony correct, approximately every 6 months.
Well, it might not have been 6 months, but it was every year, no doubt.
Sometimes more than once a year.
Yes.
Once a year? I mean, I'm not trying to say that you should have engagements and problems that involve your family once a year, but that's hardly a pattern.
During these occasions, did
At least once a year could be referring to my son's life. Hey, you know what? Once a year is better than some people.
how were each of the parties or parents, what was their demeanor like when you would get there, if they were sort of disagreeing with something?
Well, they were disagreeing with whatever the conversation was or the issue was, but Kevin was more upset. Why did you bring my parents into this? This isn't their problem. And Jennifer thought that she wanted us to know what was going on and felt that it was our problem.
Did you ever observe either of them get violent with one another?
No.
Did you
Never
ever
did.
observe either of them cause or have injuries?
No, not that I'm aware of.
How about being physically aggressive? Either one of them physically aggressive on these occasions?
No, never witnessed that.
And when Jennifer Kusterman would call you approximately once or more a year to come sort of mediate marital disagreements, in all of that time, did she ever say to you or disclose to you that she felt she was being physically or emotionally abused?
No, I don't believe she did.
If you recall, were some of these arguments regarding the conditions of the home?
Yes, there were times when Kevin would get home, I think, late at night after working hard all day. And the house was not clean. I attest to the fact that Jen's not the neatest housekeeper in the world, but that would cause some strife, especially if the clothes were not taken care of, the clothes laying in the hallway instead of in the washing machine or the dryer. I've seen where that issue has caused many arguments. And Kevin was always a clean freak, and he likes things neat. And I don't think that's quite the case with Jen.
Did he participate also in your observations in keeping the home tidy and doing the chores?
Yes, he did. In the winter, when his main job was plowing and blowing snow. And so he was home a lot of times. He worked all night, sometimes a couple days straight without sleep. But he would come home after he get some sleep himself. Then he would do the cleaning. And that happened most of the winter.
Since he's been residing in your home, how does he keep his home or his space in that home?
It's spotless.
Can you bring her to my house?
Changing gears a little bit here. What types of activities have you observed the family doing together? And holiday sports vacations in that type of realm?
What vacation did you say?
I said, what type of activities have you observed the family doing together while they were?
Humble brag. Which vacation were you talking about? We take multiple per year. Ouch.
Residing together and raising their children. I just kind of gave a few examples of things like holidays, sports, vacations.
Okay, all right.
Things in that realm. What did you observe they do together?
First thing that comes to mind is they used to go take their boat to Mackinac Island a lot.
Their boat, humble brag.
5 or 6 times a year.
Another humble brag, 5 or 6 times a year.
In the summer. And we would
just a summer. Wow.
We would go up there and we would golf with
golfing. Wow.
Kelvin and Kevin. Or we would go eat lunch.
Eating, holy shit.
We would just go up for the day usually.
Fly in, fly out, super rich.
We bike around the island with them.
We can ride bikes. We're super cool.
And the kids love Mackinac Island, and they love to do the biking thing.
They love to do the biking thing. The thing that is the biking thing. The thing that is the biking.
And sometimes when we would fly up there, I have access to an airplane. So
access to an airplane. The ultimate humble brag. You fucker.
And the kids love Mackinac Island, and they love to do the biking thing. And sometimes when we would fly up there, I have access to an airplane. So we would fly up there.
Welcome, Crystal Pullaway. Welcome, Jay from Michigan. Debs C69. You reminded me of a funny story earlier. I have to remember it. Give me a minute. I commented on it. You'll remind me in a minute. This is funny though. These are humble brag upon humble brag upon humble brag.
At times, and Kevin and the kids would all ride their bike up, and they'd be there greeting us. So we would see them there. Another time, like I mentioned before, we go to Florida.
Another humble brag. Thank you though, because I just spent 3 glorious weeks in Florida. Thank you so much, Miss Donna. And it was amazing. I love Florida. You can fight me on that. People were like, oh, Orlando, that must be sucky. I'm like, no, it's not actually sucky, you bitch. going back to fucking Michigan or Minnesota or wherever the fuck you're coming from, you wish you lived here, just like I do.
For 2 or 3 times in the winter, and they would be down there on a spring break or vacation at a different time, and we'd see them at the beach. They'd come to our pool. The kids love swimming. They'd go to the ocean, that type of thing. And everything was, I would say, normal and good.
Fucking right, it's normal and good. Going to the pool. Sorry, I'm reading Deb's comment. Photos with naughty toys in the background. Oh, yes, that's the story. Okay. Give me 1 minute. I gotta prepare how I can tell that story appropriately.
And you mentioned that on Mackinac Island, you would sometimes arrive on your plane or the plane you have access to, and Kevin Kusterman, and the kids would greet you. Was Jennifer Kusterman with them?
Occasionally she was, but usually it was just the kids and Kevin.
And has Kevin Kusterman gone down to Florida without Jennifer Kusterman, or was it always a family trip together?
There were trips with the family, but there was also, he has brought Kelvin down for a week to spend time just with him. And it was a pretty inexpensive trip because all he had to buy was an airline ticket for him. So we had a place to stay. And they would do various things. And he has also done that maybe the following year or a year after that with Callie. The next trip is Kelsey's time, and she was too young to come down and didn't want to leave home. So as she gets older, hopefully someday she'll come down and do the same experience that the other two have. But when they're down there, we would go to Lion Country Safari with them. We'd go to Gumbo Limbo. We'd go to take them out to eat. We'd go down to the beach with them. And we swim at the pool with them. So we're with them.
Crystal, surgery next Friday. We will be thinking of you and sending you positive vibes. I'm so glad that got scheduled. I'm so thankful for that. Everybody is manifesting good vibes for you, Crystal. Seriously, we'll reiterate that. And let us know if you need anything. Jody will, I bet, donate her last slot I'm just joking. We all know those points mean nothing, but seriously, Crystal, Jody, and everybody, and Mayor, and your wife, and everybody who's going through a tough time, we are thinking of you. Crystal, especially, I think of you, your daughters quite a bit, so thoughts will be going out there. I hope they don't get stopped at the border. That happens sometimes with my positive vibes. They seem to stop them, just like my dildos. I don't understand. They wrap them in this notice from TSA, and they're like, hey, we have to look at this and maybe, touch it a little bit. Just wanted to let you know.
Most of the time.
And so on some occasions, if I heard you correctly, Kevin Kusterman has gone down there without Jennifer Kusterman and at least one child. And then other times it's a family event. It's both parents.
Correct.
During the time that both parents are there with the children, who's taking care of the kids? Who's making sure they're fed and doing activities with them and supervising them?
I don't know about the food, but I do know that Kevin spends a lot of time as a family and taking care of the kids. Do what they were always on the go. They wanted to see a lot of things, see as much as they could and do as much as possible when they were in Florida. They were only down there for a week. And so that was.
Losers. Try 3 weeks. Then you'll want to live there like I do.
Go to the ocean. Just enjoy the day.
And then the times that Kevin Kusterman was there with just one child, was he attending to the child's needs, or did he kind of, disappear and let you do that?
No, he did not do that. He took care of 100%. there's no doubt. They were a joy to have, and it was really actually fun to have each individual child there, because we could see how they reacted with Kevin, and they had a riot. They always enjoyed themselves and asked to come back. So that hasn't happened, but if they want to come back, they've totally enjoyed themselves.
And during those times, did you ever observe anything at all that raised a concern about Kevin Kusterman's ability to provide the day-to-day care for the children?
Absolutely not.
Did you witness, and really not just specifically these events, but overall, have you witnessed Kevin Kusterman and the children expressing, a love and affection with one another?
Yes, I have, on a regular occasion.
And how do they do that?
Since they've been here every other week, it's really been apparent. They tease each other at night when they come home, and that's usually after practice or a game. They play together, they tease each other, they watch YouTube things, and they're all laughing at that. So they just spend a lot of time.
Oh my God, that's exactly like our family. This is our YouTube family, and we spend all day laughing at YouTube things together. I don't exactly know what the command is for gifting. Let's see what happened when Melanie did it. It will usually say, like, feels bad, man, or thank you, or something like that. You guys know I don't really know how to work this program. I just know a little bit. I guess Jonathan and Sashina, neither of them are here right now. Fuck. Oh my God, I have to focus. Somebody could Google Streamlabs loyalty points gifting command, and I bet they would figure it out. Because I have not changed it from the standard Streamlabs loyalty points gifting command.
Every night they're doing something, or whether he sees them doing their homework, he tells them to get the homework done. And if they have an issue that they can't handle, he tells them to call their mother. And so if it's math is not my thing, and neither is it Cheryl's thing, so it's not a responsibility, but he tells them to call Jen if they can't solve the problem and he can't solve it.
If you know Jennifer Kusterman, what does she do for a living?
She's a teacher.
Specifically, what kind of teacher, if you know?
I believe a math teacher.
And do you know if she also tutors separately from that primary job? She also offers tutoring services.
That's what I have heard, yes.
So is it primarily math that that the kids reach out to Jennifer during Kevin's parenting time, or is it all homework?
No, it is not all homework. I don't know if it's strictly math, but he has helped them with history, government. I've helped him, could answer a couple questions. So it's, but if we're stumped, I think Kevin suggests that being their mother's a teacher, give her a call and see what she thinks. That's after he can't solve the answer to the question, and neither can we. So it would seem just logical to ask her.
And do you observe him sort of checking in with the kids and making sure that, do they have homework and what needs to get done, and setting aside time to do that?
Yes, that's happens every night that they're here. When they walk in the house, that's the first question. What's your homework for tonight?
Have you ever?
That sounds sort of terrible. Exactly like my childhood, as a matter of fact. What fucking homework do you have right now? Lots that I will not do. Let's repeat the last 276 nights and go for the next 275. Shall we?
Observed in general, at any point in time, have you ever observed Kevin Kusterman having to discipline the children?
Yes, as all parents do, but yes, I have.
And in your observations, how does he handle discipline?
Kevin,
How does he handle discipline when all they give is discipline and no love or proper affection on the back end? You know, I never enjoyed discipline until the man that gave me discipline also loved me as well.
I think Kevin, he believes that the kids need discipline. I don't think he overdoes it, but I think he's firm. And if they have done something that feels that they have to be disciplined, he will do that, what is necessary to handle the problem and teach them what the issue is and how they should do it.
Have you ever observed him to aggressively yell, scream, hit, anything like that?
No.
Have you ever observed Jennifer Kusterman's discipline of the children?
No, because I don't think she believes in discipline, but
I don't think she believes in discipline at all. She's anti-discipline. Come on now. I think the command is ! Give points. I think it's give points. I will Google it. You guys could Google it too. That's what I was sort of begging you to do. Google Streamlabs loyalty points give command. I promise something will happen.
I basically have never seen her disciplined.
What's the objection?
As he doesn't know what my client believes.
We can strike that, but he did say he's never seen her discipline. So I think that is a factual response that he can make.
Sure, he may have asked. I don't know. He may have asked her. We didn't follow up on whether there's foundation for it. But if you're striking it, so be it.
Yes, I don't know that he can testify to what Jennifer Kusterman believes with respect to her disciplinary theory, but I think he could testify to say that he's never seen her do it. I guess is what I'm saying.
I think if he's asked her, and maybe he's asked her and she's told her what she believes. So if you don't want to follow up, it's your witness.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, sir, I had an omitted question. When Kevin Kusterman disciplines the children, how have you observed they respond?
As all kids, they don't like it, but I think they do what they're told to do. They're really good kids, and nobody likes to be disciplined, but they do it.
That's a lie. Truly enjoy being disciplined constantly, which is a problem for me because when I do something wrong, I don't get disciplined if the person knows me very well. But if I'm good, then I get disciplined. How contrary is that?
I want to turn your attention to an incident that occurred that
Guys, try ! Add points and then highlight the username. Let's see if that works.
this is I'm sorry. I want to say Mrs. or Mr. Kusterman, and I know that's also you and your wife, so I'm trying to make sure I clarify that I'm talking about Jennifer and Kevin Kusterman. Jennifer Kusterman has alleged in pleadings an incident where you arrived at the marital home somewhere around the weekend before the 4th of July of 2023 by yourself. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do.
Why did you go there?
The morning, I'll start with the morning before that. That Sunday morning at a little after 9 o'clock, Kevin was served a PPO by the Grand Traverse County Sheriff. And so that started the day. And in that police officer that showed up told Kevin.
Objection, Your Honor. hearsay. He can't
Hearsay.
testify to what the police officer told him.
I was standing there as a witness.
Doesn't matter.
So
It's
you
still
can't testify
hearsay.
to what somebody who's not in court today that's subject to cross-examination or clarification of what that other person said or didn't say. So we can't talk about what the police officer said. But if you could describe sort of, you know, what else was going on that morning.
Well, nothing until late morning, might have been around noon or whatever. Our family, every summer 4th of July weekend, we would spend at Mike and Barb Age's place. They're my brother and sister-in-law. And they would have a big party for 3-4 days, come and swim. Kids would.
You just say a 3 or 4 day party nonchalantly. Like, yeah, we would just have a 3 or 4 day party. Where's my invite, dude? I'm onto that.
Use the boat, they'd use the paddle boards, they'd do everything. That was to happen that Sunday. Well, when Kevin was served the PPO, he felt that he could not invite the kids over and be in that situation with the kids. So at the same time, Kelvin was texting me and calling us saying, why can't I?
Your Honor.
You can't say what Kelvin said, but he was calling and texting you.
Yeah, all right.
Hey, Mikey, could you let us know? Satan has bedroom eyes, really? Where's Satan around here? I was wondering what it feels like to get giant donations like you did today. Gifts, if you will, for people gifting memberships. One day soon, we will be able to have memberships back on this channel. It feels like a dream many, many moons ago. But Crystal, also, I am truly thinking of you lots and lots and lots. Please send me a message on Discord. I would. Oh, don't worry, Dick Harris. That's definitely not why I got demonetized about that beaver. Don't you worry. That's a whole nother discussion. Regardless, these people are so petty. I'm so annoyed, and also I really preferred the outfits yesterday that the girl was wearing, especially down in the bottom because her cleavage was showing yesterday, and I get that. It's like, duh, that's gonna work for you, but she's angled up this today and changed her whole outfit. I don't like it. I'm just gonna tell you that I don't like it. Yeah, YouTube Daddy hates us, Jay from Michigan. That's the truth. But also, you comment prolifically in the chat, which I love. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. But after the lives are done, we don't get comments on the video. And that's okay-ish. But, I mean, if you love me, you would go back and comment on the videos. Thank you.
So anyway, they weren't allowed to come over. And Kevin would not allow them to come over because he didn't want to be put in that position, not knowing what really was going on after that PPO. And I stopped in and saw Jen. I was just driving by, and I was driving by on my way over there because there was a car there that I was told was causing a little bit of difficulty.
I'm just going to be honest with you. On the old channel, every morning I would wake up and I would read the comments that had come in overnight, and I would check on the sub count. And I had to stop doing that for this. You can't comment on this video yet, Bev, because it's live. But you can comment on all the old videos. That's the problem. YouTube Daddy's like, oh, we're going to make this like 1/15th difficult. Anyways, my whole point is, if y'all want to make my morning, comment on a video overnight, because in the morning I will look at it and I will be thankful and thoughtful and appreciative.
And I wanted to know what really stirred this thing up. So anyway, but I stopped there and Jennifer and Kelsey and Randy Burgess was standing outside.
Hold on. Is the mom named Callie and the kid's named Kelsey and the dad's named Kevin and the kid's named Kelvin? This is fucked up. That's the most fucked up thing. Somebody needs to call CPS about that. Also, Mama has good cleavage right now up in the top, my top right.
I walked up to Jen and I said, Jen, I don't really know what's going on, but you have caused this. And Kevin is not doing anything until he talks to his attorney, because it was a little confusing episode here. So that's exactly what I said. And I said, you better keep them here instead of bringing him over, letting him go to Mike and Barb's until we.
Donna, did Owen have a game tonight? If Owen had a game tonight, please, could you update us on the game? I miss the football. It was such an exciting experience, something that as a Canadian, I've really never experienced. So fun, so thankful, as usual. I hope everyone knows that. I'm super thankful for the opportunity to visit the United States. Like, I get that that's a privilege. He did, but you didn't go too far. Okay, I get that too. Y'all live in miles, not kilometers. In Canada, it's hard to explain because basically you understand constantly that you're going to be very far apart from everything. So you don't really question. Did you see the clip? Was it highlighted on Donna? I saw the thing. So I've been working out good. You should be super, super proud of me because I've been still working out since I got home. Thank you, Paisley of the past. Anyways, but Judge Washington deletes her videos. So I saw the message like, hey, check out Judge Washington. But then I didn't get it in time because they had already deleted it. Grim is hoping that the Lions beat the Ravens this Sunday, and that's football, if I remember correctly. I'm gonna check it. I'm gonna check it right now, Donna, as we look. Also, I just again want to shout a kudos out to American internet speeds. As a Canadian who thought I was paying, who knows I'm paying top dollar for internet and yet am receiving zero comparatively, I just want to say, y'all be thankful, okay?
Till he can figure out what really his obligation is or responsibility. And that's what basically, and then I turn around and left.
Like, seriously, the internet speeds I got at Donna's house, literally, were like speeds that a Canadian business would pay hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month. I was like, holy. Oh, I've done many speed tests, Jody. And I used to think I was getting top-notch speed tests because in Canada, I pay a lot of money. I don't know what the fuck they're doing. They're just putting a little cock ring on the fucking wire at the border or something, but it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Sir, did you feel that you were acting aggressively towards Jennifer Kusterman on that occasion?
No, I raised my voice a little more than normal, but I didn't feel like I was overly angry or expressive.
Did you berate her or physically show aggression in any way?
No, not at all.
Did you get to face, point your finger at her?
I think I pointed my finger and said, you caused this. You keep the kids at home. And I find it, kind of ironic that she says that she was scared of me and berated. I wish, for the 15 years prior to that, she always invited me out to solve their problems. But that particular day, I guess it wasn't the thing to do.
Did Kevin Kusterman direct you to go over there?
No, he didn't. He was actually upset that I went over there. He said, "Why did you go over there?" And I told him, trying to diffuse the angry kid situation.
Did you tell him, or did you tell him before you went over there
No,
that you were going?
no,
So in any way, were you communicating any sort of messages for Kevin Kusterman at that point in time?
no, not whatsoever. The only message I said was he needs to talk to his attorney.
And was that your personal feeling or belief at that point?
Yes. Yes.
At that time, was there a lot of confusion about how that PPO affected parenting time?
It certainly was, because we were getting mixed signals, and that made confusion on top of confusion.
And again, you were present when Kevin Kusterman was served, right?
Correct.
And when was that?
July 2 at about 9:05 in the morning.
Was that a Saturday in 2023?
No, I think it was a Sunday morning.
A Sunday morning. Okay. And if we're okay, so if July 2nd was a Sunday morning, would July 4th have been Tuesday, the holiday, the 4th of July?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't have a calendar in front of me, but I think that's what it is.
I mean, Sunday the 2nd, Monday the 3rd,
Yeah.
Tuesday
Yeah.
the 4th. Okay. And at that point in time, were businesses closed or courts, or, because of the holiday and the weekend?
Everything was closed. There was very little communication done. And so at that point, Kevin said, well, I can't say that probably. I knew that he was not able to get a hold of you until that.
In fact, hearsay exception applies to one of the parties who is in court able to defend and rebut their statements. So the hearsay exception applies to statements made by Kevin because Kevin is in court able to refute those statements.
Monday or till the following Wednesday after the holidays.
Did things clear up considerably right away in your observations on Wednesday the 5th?
Absolutely. That is because you had evidently told him about what Wizard is. And so that was the first he knew about Wizard. Nobody.
Our family wizard, hashtag not a sponsor yet.
He told him anything about that until that day.
In your observations, has Mr. Kevin Kusterman provided stability and consistency for his children?
Yes, he sure has.
How has he done that?
Number one, financially. He is probably, if they need some money for some extra things or whatever, the kids always come to him and say, "Dad, you got a few extra bucks? I want to go."
Okay, well, my daughter comes to me about every one day to explain to me why she needs a few extra dollars for Diet Coke or any number of items that I'm sorry, I doubt that that's weighing on either side of this equation.
Do this, or I want to go do that. At least that's what we've seen since they've been here. And he sees what what they're asking for, and either if he says no, and then he'll tell them what the reason is. But basically, he tells them, don't waste your money. I will give you money for this, but don't do whatever, waste it.
Other than financially, what else does he do with respect to just overall providing for the children stability?
Well, I think he's number one. He shows them his love towards them. He's always telling them that he loves his kids. He tells each and every one of that. I hear it every day when they're over here. He hugs them. He tells them that he loves them. When they leave here, I am sure he misses them dearly for that following week.
Does he adhere to routines? I mean, now that they're, I guess, now that they're in school, it's probably a little more important, but does he have, morning routines, bedtime routines, things like that you see?
Yes. In the morning, I'm not here. I usually go to work before they leave, but he'll take Callie to school. I think he leaves at 7 o'clock. I'm not sure. That happens every day that he has them. And he's on top of the situation, just like a normal parent is. Concerned, the kids need to be such and such a place. They are.
And how about evening or after school routines? What do you observe there?
He'll help with dinner. He'll bring in groceries. He'll ask the children what they have for the homework, whether they have it or not. Sees that they started. If they do, if not, they can go do something different. But he's asking them the right questions.
Have you observed whether or not Kevin Kusterman supports a close and continuing relationship with the children and Jennifer Kusterman?
I do not know about Jennifer. I do know that he'll do anything for his children. He loves his kids dearly. But
maybe I should say it a little bit differently. Have you observed Kevin supporting the relationship that the children have with Jennifer Kusterman?
Yes. Yeah, he will tell the kids, your mother is still your mother. Irregardless of what we go through, she loves you just as much as I love you. I've heard that a number of times.
Does he facilitate or allow them to call and text freely while they're there with Jennifer Kusterman?
Absolutely.
He never interferes with that?
Never.
Does he say unkind words about Jennifer Kusterman in the children's presence?
No, not at all. I've never heard it.
No further questions.
Thank you. Ms. Lentz, do you have any questions for this witness?
I do, Your Honor. Thank you. Mr. Kusterman, you testified that Ms. Kusterman would call you for help about once a year, so approximately 16 to 17 times. Isn't it true that it's more closer to 5 times in the course of their marriage?
I would say no, that's incorrect.
And Mr. Kusterman, in October of 2021, did Ms. Kusterman reach out to you via text message for help in the way that your son Kevin speaks to Calvin?
I don't recall that.
Mr. Kusterman, you said 9 out of 10 times you support Kevin in his interactions with Jen. Did you support him in 2019 when he hit Mrs. Kusterman in the face?
No.
And isn't it true that you asked Ms. Kusterman if she was sure she wanted to take Kevin back?
I don't recall that either.
Ms. Kusterman, do you think that children behave differently in front of their parents than when they're not in front of their parents?
Objections by
Yes.
Kusterman.
Your Honor,
Just in general, I mean, you're just asking a general
I'm
question.
just asking a general question. Not these.
Overruled.
All right, Mr. Kusterman, I'm going to go ahead and ask the question again. Do you think, in general, children can act differently in front of their parents as to when they're not in front of their parents?
Yes, I believe that's possible.
So do you think it's possible your son acts differently in front of you as to when he's not with you?
I assume anything's possible.
And Mr. Kusterman, isn't it true that your wife Cheryl actually does most of the child rearing that's going on right now when the children are at your home?
That is not true at all.
Did Cheryl bring Calvin his jersey last night because Kevin couldn't do it?
Yes, because Kevin was not home. And in fact, he
Oh, it's okay.
called.
I didn't ask you to follow up.
All right.
And isn't it true that Cheryl cooks most of the meals?
No,
Ms. Kusterman, isn't it, or Mr. Kusterman, isn't it true that you attend your grandchildren's sporting events more frequently than your son?
no, that's not true.
Mr. Kusterman, we talked about a July 2nd incident where you came over to the marital residence. Isn't it true that from that altercation, or let me back up, isn't it true that the minor child, Kelsey, was present when you confronted the defense, Ms. Kusterman?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, I jumbled it, I know. Mr. Kusterman, isn't it true that Kelsey, the minor child, was present when you confronted Ms. Kusterman on July 2nd, 2023?
I believe I said that, yes.
Isn't it true Kelsey was crying as a result of this confrontation?
Now, when I was there, she wasn't.
Uncrustables de-thawed in the bra has been debunked as a good
Mr.
method.
Kusterman, you testified that your son Kevin sometimes would be upset that he would return from work and the house was unclean. Isn't it true that Ms. Kusterman also works all day?
I believe so, yes.
So why would that responsibility fall primarily on her?
Usually she would be home before he would, but I don't know. It wasn't my issue. I don't know the cause of it.
And Mr. Kusterman, you testify that during the winter, your son works all night. Are you and Cheryl going to be taking care of the kids in the winter when he's working all night?
I don't believe so. I think he's even considering a career change he's had a job offer from somebody else, and whether he takes it or not, that's up to him. So I don't think that's going to happen.
Mr. Kusterman, have you ever told your son that you're not attending your grandchildren's games because they didn't try hard enough?
I think I said that one time to him. It was, I think, regarding their son, Kelvin. I don't remember if it was a hockey game or what it was, but I think I said something similar to that, yes.
Poor wee Kelvin. We can just all submit to Kelvin's therapy fund right now. He's going to have so many stories to tell. You know, there was one time in court when my grandpa admitted that he hated me and he didn't even want me to succeed and I didn't try hard enough. And then my dad also agreed with that. Like, I mean, seriously, it's crazy.
Do you think those comments are helpful to a child's confidence level?
Probably not.
Mr. Kusterman, isn't it true that when the children return to Miss Kusterman's at the end?
Like, let's just point out that I literally reverted to a Scottish accent for that because I was so appalled.
Of your son's parenting time week, that they return with bags full of dirty laundry?
I have no idea about that. I can't answer that question. I don't check their laundry. I do know our washing machine and dryer are going all week long. So I do know that. So what it is, I don't know.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Do you have any redirect, Ms. Schmelzer?
Yes, briefly, sir, you were asked about your wife bringing a jersey to the party's child, Kelvin, yesterday. Do you know that happened?
Yes, I think Kelvin ended up calling directly to Cheryl. I don't even know if Kevin was notified of that. But he called Cheryl and said, "Is my jersey there?" And she said, "Yes." Well, he's told her that he needed it. And she said, "I'll be there in 2 minutes."
Do you know approximately what time that happened?
8:15, maybe 8 o'clock, something around that time.
And the children are not with Mr. Kusterman this week, or Kevin Kusterman.
That is correct.
Okay. Do you know what day they do exchanges?
On Sunday, at 6 o'clock.
And yesterday, is it fair to say, was a Tuesday, correct?
Correct.
During the winter, you testified that your son works all night, and you were asked a clarifying question. What does he do for work in the winter?
He plows.
He plows snow. Please don't say that. Please, please, please do not finish my sentence.
Snow.
And so is it fair to say whether or not he's actually working is related to whether or not?
Is that a double entendre word play with weather? Or what is she saying? Is that what she's going for here?
Snow needs to be plowed?
Yeah, a lot of times when there's no snow, you don't work. So there are many days where you don't work. And if we have a storm coming in, I've seen him work around the clock until his customers are taken care of. But yes, that's totally based on snowfall.
So it's not every night in the winter that he works all night, correct?
Absolutely not. No.
Does he need to work to financially support his family?
Yes. I'm assuming so.
Could anybody here tell me that they don't need to work to sustain their family? Seriously, come on now. That's the stupidest fucking question I've ever heard.
I mean, most people do, right?
Sure.
Sure. Have you noticed any sort of changes in his work behavior as it relates to when he has the kids for the week versus when he doesn't?
Yes. The week prior to him having the kids, when he does not have the kids, he puts in some very long days so that he can, the following week, not work quite so much, so he can do kid things. And that was pretty evident here before school started, because they went boating, which was with a tube, and water skiing the week that he had them, or that the time his parents.
Okay, I love water skiing when I get the chance. I'm just going to be honest. Maybe as a 35-year-old lady, I probably shouldn't water ski, but damn, if I don't love to water ski when I get the chance. Of course it's fun, and tubing's fun too. Who the fuck doesn't like to do that?
Time. They do that 2 or 3 nights in a week. But that's why he worked the previous week till dark every day. So he could have that freedom to do that.
And he works for himself, is that correct? He's self-employed?
That's correct.
As of right now?
Yes, correct.
Okay, I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any final questions, Ms. Lentz?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. You're all set.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
I'm
sir.
happy to go over the waiting room list again if you'd like.
I'm gonna hope that everyone's still there. So I'll try Emily Hale, please, which I think you might be Drew Hale on the screen.
And I'll rename that if that's correct.
You know that's true, Grim. Honestly, I've been places before where people ask me, why are you going there? What are you doing there? And I always reply, wherever I am, the party will be. I do not worry if you hang with me.
As we identify the person.
Because Drew's not on his list.
Good morning.
Good evening and good night.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name's Matt Hagan. I'm the referee in this matter. Would you mind identifying yourself for me, please?
My name is Emily Hale.
And you've been called as a witness in this matter by Ms. Schmelzer and her client. She's going to have some questions for you. And then if she chooses to, Ms. Lentz may have some questions for you, okay?
Sure.
1 second. If you'd raise your right hand, please. Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Schmelzer.
Thank you. Ms. Hale, my name is Lori Schmelter and I represent Kevin Kusterman, who has asked you to appear and testify today. As you might know, we are here for some child-related matters regarding the Kusterman family, and I have some questions for you today, and I do appreciate you taking your time out of your day to help inform the court of the things that you know and answer my questions. If we could start by having you state and spell your name for the record.
Yep. Emily Hale, Emily Hale.
And do you know either or both Jennifer Kusterman and Kevin Kusterman?
I do.
How do you know them?
My husband and I moved here in 2008 and were introduced to them by another couple that we all went to church with. We were put
Soft swinging or church? Which one? I'm sure it's either.
in a small group together. And so they were literally the first friends we made when we moved here.
And do you also know their minor children, Kelvin, Kelly, and Kelsey?
I've known Kelvin since he was about 18 months old.
Hold on. Things just got worse. We were already very concerned about Kevin to Kelvin, but you're telling me it's Kevin, Kelvin, and Kelsey? Oh, wait, it's Kelvin. It's Kevin. What is it? Kelvin, Kelsey, and what is it? Oh my God. What is it? What have they done to these children?
Really the first friends we made when we
Kusterman, and spell your name for the record.
Yep. Emily Hale, Emily Hale.
And do you know either or both Jennifer Kusterman and Kevin Kusterman?
I do.
How do you know them?
My husband and I moved here in 2008 and were introduced to them by another couple that we all went to church with. We were put in a small group together. And so they were literally the first friends we made when we moved here.
And do you also know their minor children, Kelvin, Kelly, and Kelsey?
Kelvin, Callie, and Kelsey. Oh, I'm sorry, Kelvin, Callie, and Kelsey. I would like to extend an apology to you on behalf of your parents who don't realize what they've done to you. I do. I'm sorry. I'm positive you're all K children, and I apologize.
I've known Kelvin since he was about 18 months old. And then the other two obviously came along after that.
To your knowledge, are Jennifer and Kevin Kusterman currently living separately?
They are.
If I could maybe just direct your attention towards the time before their separation, just so that we have some context and understanding of the timeline here. When they did live together as a family, how often were you generally interacting with the parties and the children?
I mean, when the kids were younger, every weekend, if not a couple of times a week, as the kids got older and their sports schedules, mine as well as theirs, maybe.
Humble brag, I have my own sports schedule. Actually, to be honest, I really do want to get back into soccer. And I had to admit to somebody that it would be over 35s soccer, which is actually a hard pill to swallow for me. But
Maybe a couple of times a month.
Do you also have children about the same ages as the Kusterman children?
My boys are, my oldest is 11, and then we have 10-year-old boys that are twins.
Did you?
oh my God, my fucking ovaries are amazing. They produce twins. Okay, just reminder, twins.
In that time period, did you have the opportunity to observe the Kusterman family, like home life, routines, things that they did?
Yeah, very often.
What type of activities did you see them do as a family?
Boating, anything outdoor, anything sports related. I mean, they were the first one in our friend group to have kids. So they were kind of the couple.
But like, what was their boat rank? Because like, did they get a boat early or did they get a boat late? Because that makes a huge difference. Like, who is like sort of king of the lake?
That as we all started having kids, we kind of looked to them as the only ones that knew what they were doing because the rest of us had kids probably 4 years after they.
Also, Beverly Bradford, yes. Lois, Sharon, Lois, and Bram is something I watched as a child a lot. Skinnamarink Dinky Dink, Skinnamarink Doo. Yes, I know all the songs, all of them. So.
They started.
And some of these activities, the boating or the outdoor activities that you were observing, was it both of the parents together with the children or just one?
It was almost always both of them.
And so with that, did you have the opportunity to observe both of their parenting styles, parenting of in general of the children during that marriage?
I did.
And if you could give some examples of when and how.
They were the first ones to ever. My husband grew up in El Paso, Texas, in the desert. They were the first ones to ever take us on a boat. That would have been when Kelvin was a baby, before Callie and Kelsey were born. We would go when we first met. Jen was a teacher at Traverse City Christian and would have to go to football games. So Kevin would often reach out to see if we wanted to go with them to the games. Even as a baby, Kelvin would get very excited about sporting events. And so there were a lot of times that we would go with them to to do stuff with him. And then as the kids got older, it was more boating days with all the kids. Kevin was the first one to take my boys on a boat. He was the first one to let Hunter drive a boat. And a lot of times, because when your kids are that young, it was just a lot of times at each other's houses with all of the kids.
And did you observe either or both parents actually parenting their children, showing love, affection, discipline, that type of stuff?
Yes.
Which one of the parents was primarily doing that?
It was both.
How did you, how have you seen the children interact with, let's start with Kevin Kusterman, as far as showing love and affection and that type of stuff? How did they do that?
Kevin loves his kids so much. He's always been a very hands-on dad. I cannot even tell you how much he loves those kids, how much he shows up for those kids, how much I'm sorry, I'm going to get emotional. Kevin is a great dad, and he has always been a great dad. Jen is a great mom. But yeah, I mean, it was never an unequal partnership when it came to parenting. I mean, my kids will tell you that Kevin is when all the grownups are hanging out and all the grownups are talking and doing their thing and the kids are playing, if any parent is more likely to go in there and start playing with the kids and interacting with them, it is Kevin, more than I am.
Kevin, actually, I think I beat Kevin on that. I always go play with kids. I love playing with kids. They are my favorite thing to do. Take that properly, please. Don't turn that. I just mean I really enjoy hanging out with little kids. They're great. They understand me and they're not bothered by my energy. When I chase them around and they chase me around, everything goes well. This family, what the fuck is going on here? These people are fighting over nothing. I'm so upset about it. I'm upset for you as Americans about how much this is costing you as taxpayers. I'm upset for these children because of the shit that their parents are putting them through. I'm upset. I'm just overall upset. It's a Friday night and now I'm pissed off.
I love my kids, but when I have grown-up time, I am more likely to focus on catching up with my girlfriends. And it was not uncommon to go into the next room and see Kevin laying on the floor, especially when Kelvin was a toddler, helping him line up all his farm animals and his tractors and teaching him the names of all the tractors and answering the 5,000 questions that a small child has about stuff that really doesn't matter. But he has always taken the time, not just to play with those kids, but to engage in conversations with them and to answer their questions and to be there for them and to show up for their sporting stuff. And I mean, it's been a long running joke for the last 10 years between the couples that we've been friends with, that if we want to see the Kustermans, we're going to show up at a sporting event, or we're going to stop by after a sporting event. And Kevin has never once complained about that. It has always been, I mean, I have text messages where I'll say, I'm so sorry we didn't get to see you tonight. And he'll say, oh, I was in the UP with Callie, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I love watching those kids do what they love.
And how
Okay,
about,
that's a lot. Is that not a lot? That's like over the top. Oh my God, I would never fucking trade this for the world. You could pay me $1 million and ask me to go to Bali, and I would be like, fuck no, I want to be at my high school children's games. Sorry, no. Normally take the Bali vacation. I'm sorry.
Mrs. Kusterman, can you describe a little bit about how she interacts with the kids and her parenting and involvement?
Jen is a great mom. She loves her kids. I think that something has shifted with her in the last year that has made it very hard for me to see the Jen that I knew for a long time.
Prior, I guess,
It's so
prior to
hard.
the last year, then would you say that you were better friends with Kevin or Jennifer or both of them?
Prior to the last year, I would say I was closer with Jen just because we spent more time together. We used to do, me and her and our friends Gracie and Christy for a long time, had a standing Tuesday night dinner once a month.
We all know what standing nights are like. I mean, currently, it's guys' night at my house. You all know that every Friday night, guys' night. We had a standing night at Jen's house. Oh my God. I'm gonna cry about it.
Where we would, I don't spend a lot of time alone with Kevin. I mean, he had a wife, I have a husband. So it was typically when I was with Kevin, it was with my husband, Drew, or Jen, or Joe and Gracie Burgess there. So I mean, the closeness, I think, in prior to the last year, yeah, I would say I was closer to Jen because I spent more time with her.
And in that time frame, you know, did you observe her being active and involved with the kids, showing love and affection back and forth?
Yes, absolutely.
Do you have any examples of that?
Of Jen?
Mm-hmm.
Of Jen or of my deep throat voice? Because I definitely have a deep throat voice.
Yeah, I mean, the same as with Kevin, like she, especially when the kids were little, they, you know, holding them, snuggling them. We used to joke all the time that like when we were all together and it was late and the kids needed to go to bed, Jen typically on those nights would be the one to go lay down with them. And it was, well, we'll see Jen in the morning because we knew that she would fall asleep with the kids. But
then I would fuck her husband. Who is this? Is this his sister? Who are they fucking? Are they fucking when she goes to bed? Is that what's happening here?
Kevin did that too. Like there were a lot of nights where the kids would be put to bed and then Kelvin especially would come out and want Kevin, and Kevin never hesitated to be like, okay, I got to go lay down with Kelvin and make sure that he's settled. And then if you guys are still here when I come out, cool. If not, I'll see you tomorrow.
Have you ever observed either of the parents have to discipline their children?
Yeah.
Let's talk about Kevin Kusterman first. How have you observed he disciplined the children if they needed to be disciplined?
Typically just talking to them. I mean, he has always been really good about like getting down on their level and having those conversations with them when they're doing something that needs to be.
Just remember the conversations that we heard earlier of Kevin yelling at Kelvin.
Corrected.
And how about Mrs. Kusterman? How have you observed her discipline the children?
Probably the same. I mean, there was a lot of, in my experience and the things that I observed, and maybe it was because we were all together and maybe it was differently when it was just the two of them, there was a lot when the kids were younger of Jen just looking at Kevin and saying, I need you to do something. I need you to take care of this.
Was there ever any yelling, screaming, physical aggression, anything like that you ever observed?
I would not say any screaming or physical aggression. I think sometimes there's yelling because when we're all together, there's 8 kids between the 3 couples. And so it was not uncommon for raised voices, but not in anger or with a negative emotion. Literally just there are 8 children running around this living room. And so if voices were raised, it was just trying to get the kids' attention to correct or move on, or to just get them to settle so that we could do whatever it is we were going to do, but nothing inappropriate, nothing that raised any red flags. I mean, I've been a foster care advocate for 10 years. I work in the mental health field. So I know the signs of when something is inappropriate with a child and when it's not. And I've never witnessed that from either of them.
And so would that say, have there ever been a time that you were concerned, or you had a concern was raised in your mind regarding either parent's ability to care for the children and ensure their well-being?
No, I would let either of them take my children anywhere they wanted to go for however long they wanted to be with them, because I trust them both completely.
And I hate my children, so please take them for as long as possible. Anywhere you fucking want in the world. I don't fucking care. Don't even tell me about it. Just take them away. Say you'll bring them back so I have plausible deniability. And thank you.
Do you have any concerns at all about the safety or well-being of the children in Kevin Kusterman's care?
No.
In your observations, I guess, has Mr. Kusterman been an involved and present father like all throughout the children's lives?
Yes.
Do you think he provides stability and consistency for those children?
I do. Not just him, but his entire extended family.
How so? Do you have a few examples?
I mean, just the things he does with them, the things that he does to support them. I've known his entire family for 10 plus years, and it's not just that Kevin is a great dad, it's that his family is so encouraging and supportive. And I know that things get sticky when couples split. I know that when you are solo parenting without your partner, there are other things that come into play that maybe didn't exist when you were living in a 2-parent household. Kevin could handle that even if he didn't have the extensive family that.
Go Kevin. Go Kevin. I fucked you. Go Kevin.
He has. But he also has so many people in his life that love the kids and are willing to help support with things that, I mean, he owns a business. He works full time. There are going to be times that he can't get somebody to practice or he can't be there, but then his mom will, his dad will, his sisters will. And to me, that's just part of having a big family. Like that's normal. And I think I'm hyper aware of that because my family is in Indiana and my husband's family is in Texas. So when you're not aware of how much you rely on family to help you parent, what Kevin will put those kids first and be there every chance he gets. But if for some reason he could not, it's a phone call away to have somebody else that he loves, that he knows loves those kids, that can show up in his place if that were necessary.
And in your earlier testimony, did I understand correctly that you kind of said, at least, prior to the last year, you felt you were fairly close friends with Jennifer Kusterman?
Yeah.
And was your testimony that you saw her at least weekly, the Tuesday dinners?
Those Tuesday dinners were monthly, but yes,
Oh,
it
sorry.
was not uncommon for us to see each other once a week.
Did you talk on the phone, text message each other?
We did, and for a long time before they moved and we moved, we lived within walking distance of one another.
At any time, did Jennifer Kusterman ever express to you that she was fearful or felt threatened by Kevin Kusterman?
She never expressed that to me, that I can recall. I mean, obviously, like, they've had their issues, but I never got the impression that she was afraid of him.
Either seeing her mannerisms or her just telling you? Neither one.
No.
Did she ever tell you she felt she was the victim of abuse of any kind, emotional or physical?
After they had the issue that they had a couple of years ago, I found she had never expressed that to me before then. When I found out about that, she explained to me her side of things, which she later admitted were not completely truthful. So I mean, I personally don't know what to think about that situation because the story has been inconsistent over the last couple of years.
Did she actually say to you she had not been truthful about that situation? That was her statement to you?
It was.
I have no further questions.
Ms. Lentz, any questions for this witness?
Just briefly, Your Honor, thank you. Ms. Hale, you're here obviously testifying on Kevin's behalf today. Isn't it true that on Thursday, June 15th, 2023, you texted Ms. Kusterman, "You've always been strong for everyone but yourself. It's okay to put yourself first. It's necessary."
That is correct.
So, Ms. Hale, did you support Jennifer's decision to leave this marriage?
I did.
And would that be because of things that Miss Kusterman told you were not going right in the marriage?
That from what they have both shared that, but yes.
And Miss Hale, isn't it true the last time you've seen the family is in December of 2022?
No.
Miss Hale, isn't it true that you really have only seen the family about 5 to 6 times per year in recent history?
No.
And Miss Hale, do you think people act differently in front of their friends than they do when they're behind closed doors?
Sometimes I didn't feel that way about the Kustermans or the Burgesses.
But it would be possible.
Oh, absolutely.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Any redirect, Ms. Schmelzer?
Just briefly, ma'am, with respect to that text in June, is there a difference between sort of marital partners no longer being a fit for each other and how they parent their children? Is there a difference?
That's a good question. When marital partners split up or grow apart, even when they have adult children, there's a good question there about them being partners still as they raise those children through adulthood.
Between that when you were kind of making that comment?
Absolutely. And can I say more about that text?
Please do.
That text was either the day before or the day after I sat at You and I Lounge with Jen, asking her if she was actually going to file, and she broke down and started sobbing and told me that she was going to file not because she wanted a divorce, but because she was hoping that it would wake Kevin up and make him realize that he wanted to fight for their marriage. And then she started crying harder and shared with me that her biggest hindrance to filing was because Kevin is such an amazing dad, and she knew what it would do to those kids if they didn't have him in their house. all of her tears were not about losing her marriage. Those tears and her words to me were, I do not want to stay married to him right now. I want to grow old with him. And I am hoping that if I file, it will shock him enough that he will go to counseling with me. We can work on our marriage, and my kids will grow up with their dad and their mom in their home together. And I said, I hope that that can happen for you guys. And she said at least 3 times, Kevin is such an amazing dad. I do not want to do this to the kids.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Wow.
Final questions, Ms. Lentz?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. You're all set.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing the tea, ma'am.
Your next witness, please.
I'd like to call Joe Burgess if he's available.
I believe this is probably Joe's iPhone, but that name has changed. It's changed since we started. So we'll find out.
We'll find out, and I'll sit here and be sad about not being surfing. But I'm planning my next trip.
Joe?
Joe. Joe Mama. Great time to like the video, guys.
I'm going to send this person a chat that says, please connect your audio.
Please connect your audio, Joe. Guys, are we buckled in for the next little while? Because I don't think we're getting a hold of Joe right away, but we have another saga part of this episode. I'm ready to do it if you are, but it's a little long, so.
Does anyone have his contact information? They let him know that he's been here for the whole, since 8:30. So I assume,
Do you
it's
mind
been an
if
hour and a
my-
half.
Sure. Do you mind if my client sends? Oh, there he is. Never mind.
So I am, who knows? People have things to do.
Tell me about it, Joe.
I think I'll send him another chat that just says, please connect your audio. Okay. We're back on the record on case number 2317423DM. I believe we fixed the audio issues. Your next witness is Mr. Burgess. Is that correct, Mr. Meltzer?
Yes. Thank
All
you.
right. I'll let him in. Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning. Hopefully you can still hear me.
Yes. And my name, as I introduced myself to you, as I was signing you in here, is Matt Hagan. I'm the referee in this matter.
You might have been introduced to me as Surfer Dude, Judge Surfer Dude, or Judge Lockhart because of my uncanny resemblance to Professor Lockhart in the Harry Potter movies. Also, you will notice over this hearing that I appear to be dreaming of my next vacation, which is why I'm called Judge Surfer Dude. Thank you.
called as a witness by Ms. Schmelzer and her client. She'll have some questions for you. And then if she chooses to, Ms. Lentz may have some questions for you, okay?
Okay.
All right, if you raise your right hand, please. Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, Ms. Schmelzer.
Mr. Burgess, my name is Lori Schmelzer. I represent Kevin Kusterman. As you might know, we are here today regarding some child matters, and Mr. Kusterman has asked you to appear and kind of provide, the facts and knowledge and things that to provide the court with some insight. And I do have some questions for you today, and I do thank you for being here and taking the time out of your day. If we could start with, please state your name and spell it for the record.
Joe Burgess, JoeBurgess.
And do you know either or both Jennifer Kusterman and Kevin Kusterman?
I do.
How do you know them?
Kevin is my cousin, and Jen is his wife.
Kevin is my cousin. So let's just go ahead and discount most of what Joe says for the next however many minutes. Somebody start the clock now.
Do you also know their minor children, Kelvin, Callie, Kelsey?
I do.
To your knowledge, are Jennifer and Kevin Kusterman presently living separately?
That's what I understand.
Just so that we have a good timeline here, I'm going to direct your attention to the time before the separation, when they were living together. Could you tell me about how often did you generally interact with the parties and the children?
Very consistently, depending on the time of year, as much as 3 times a week. And I would say at the least once a week over the course of the last 15 years.
How were you interacting with them? Was it outside in public at sporting events or at their home, or how was that?
It was a combination of all.
And did you have the opportunity there to observe their home life or their routines?
Yes, but that I can't speak to what happened when we weren't there, obviously.
Absolutely, nobody's asking you that. I'm trying to lay the groundwork of when you made the observations, how often was that, things like that. That's why I'm asking these preliminary questions, so that we know the scope of your knowledge. Okay. So when you were there, when you were in their presence, did you have that opportunity to observe sort of, home life and routines? Okay. When and how did you make those observations?
I guess I don't, when and how. I mean, when we were there,
Right,
well,
but sir, we're all strangers. We weren't in the home. So we're relying on you to share that knowledge of when you were in the home. Were you in the home? Were you at sporting events? Those types of things. How were you making observations of this family and their interactions?
Visually and audibly. I'm still confused as to what you mean by how were we making these observations.
Were you at their home? What were you doing?
Usually hanging out casually. I don't know how to expound upon that.
Casually hanging out?
Were you having barbecues? Were you having dinner?
Yes.
Were you playing with the kids? Were you
bonfires, barbecues, dinner, sharing in movies.
And this was anywhere from 1 time a week to 3 times a week?
Yeah, I would say that's fairly accurate. They've been a significant part of our life. We have spent a lot of time together, and that the events ranged vastly.
Can you give some examples of those events then?
Boating, snowmobiling, like I said,
Humble brag, humble brag, humble brag.
barbecuing, bonfire.
you repeatedly texted Mr. Kusterman, I won't keep them from you. They love us both. I want what is best for them. And that is seeing both of us. And that's with respect to your children. That's what you said in April of 2023, correct?
Absolutely.
Oh, for fuck's sakes, I skipped ahead. I know I did. We were on Joe still. Definitely not her. Fucking damn it. I wish I could be ignoring that, but I can't.
Sir, you mentioned that your children are close friends with the Kusterman children. How old are your children?
Hold on. Will somebody just go back a minute and look at what the timestamp was, please? Pretty please for me. Because I suppose actually no wait, I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. I'm that skilled. I think. Hmm. Also, great time for a med check. Med check, med check, med check. If you take meds, take your meds. If you don't take meds, come down to the chat, tell us what that's like. We've never had anybody come down and tell us what that's like. So fuck you if you think you don't take your meds. You do.
8 and 11.
And how long have they known the Kusterman children?
Since my oldest birth. There has been no separation. Their oldest was present, immediately after my firstborn's birth, and that relationship has cultivated ever since.
Hold on, we're way behind
Asked
that.
of you,
I think that's been there. Not they'll have names.
questions for you, and sir, you mentioned that your children are close friends with the Kustermans. Questions for you, and I do.
And one of the Kusterman children is a 15-year-old boy, correct?
Yes.
How is he close friends with an 8 and 11-year-old?
Typically his time here resides around his cousin being here at the same time, who is also the same age. So during the summer months, my brother stays here with his children. And that is when Calvin is most interested in staying here because his cousin is also here.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, sir. You're all set.
Okay.
Your next witness, please.
Is Kevin Brien? I'll have to ask him how to say that.
Another Kevin?
Oh, I'm sure I'll have to ask as well, but that person, that name, I believe.
Another fucking Kevin. You joking me right now? I'm super regretting starting this part of it, but we're gonna finish it.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
My name's Matt Hagan. I'm the referee in this matter. You've been called as a witness by Ms. Schmelzer and her client. She's going to have some questions for you. And then if she chooses to, Ms. Lentz may have some questions for you, okay?
All right.
All right, thank you. If you would raise your right hand, please. Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Ms. Schmelzer.
Thank you. Sir, my name is Lori Schmelzer. I am the attorney for Kevin Kusterman, who I understand has asked you to appear today and sort of provide us and the court with some information you might know about the Kusterman children and the parents. And so I have some questions for you, and I do thank you for your time today. Can you please start with stating your name and spelling it for the record?
Yeah, certainly. Kevin Brien. The last name is D as in dog, E, B as in boy, R as in Robert, U, Y, N as in Nancy.
Thank you. And Mr. Brien, what do you do for a living?
I am a social worker. So I own and run adaptive counseling and case management. We do outpatient behavioral health, and we contract with primary cares to do care management out of the physician's offices.
And do you know either or both Jennifer Kusterman and Kevin Kusterman?
I know them both.
How do you know them?
So I am Kevin's brother-in-law. I am married to his sister. And so I've known him for about the past 23, 24 years. And I know Jen just from since they've been married, since they started dating.
And do you know about how long ago that was that you first met Mrs. Kusterman?
Over 10 years. I don't know right offhand how long they've been married. It's got to be, let's see, their oldest kid is 15, and so it's got to be longer than that. So over 15 years.
And do you know the minor children, Kelvin, Callie, Kelsey?
I do, yes.
To your knowledge, if you know, are Jennifer and Kevin Kusterman currently living separately?
Okay, I have to admit something. Oh, this feels yucky to admit, but like, I didn't arrange initials to be the exact same, like the Klustermans here. So their last name is K, and then all of their children's names appear to begin with K, and then the husband's name also appears to begin with K. It's just the mom that's the outlier, Jennifer. Um, I will admit that I did arrange I did arrange for my daughter's name to match my initials because I wanted it to. And it happened to match my ex-husband's initials at the same time too. But it wasn't like overt, like because we didn't have other kids. So I didn't have to repeat it. It was just one time, that's sort of like you don't really say much about, you know.
Yes, I believe they are currently separated.
Do you have any knowledge or know when that may have begun or about when?
What I'm saying, if it wasn't clear, is that my daughter, my ex-husband, and I all have the same initials.
It's I don't know specifically, but it's been for several months now that they've been separated.
Or we did, actually. Now I don't, but they do.
And just so that we're keeping the timelines straight, I'm just going to direct your attention to the time before their separation. So when they were, living together, how often did you generally interact with the parties, the children, the family?
Yeah, we interacted on a fairly regular basis. I would say we had some level of interaction, so trying to think, because probably within the past 10 years, we had some level of interaction with them at least monthly. And oftentimes more than that, we would see them at holidays, get-togethers, birthdays, all of those kind of things.
Do you have children of your own?
I do. I have 4 children, and they're all pretty in step with Kevin and Jen's kids in terms of age, and so they've all gotten together regularly.
So are your kids and the Kusterman kids, do they interact? Are they friends? Do they?
Yes, yeah, yep.
And so, the times over the years that you were interacting with the Kusterman family, what kind of things were you guys doing together?
We would go out, both our families boat, so we'd go out and do a lot of boating.
More humble bragging, boating. Come on. How did I hose you, Denali, Mike? Tell me.
we've gone to football. I mean, more recently, so both our boys play football together. So we've gone to football games, different sporting activities like hanging out on,
Boats.
like hanging out. We didn't hang out on the weekends a ton, unless, outside of holidays and birthdays and things like that.
You ever sort of, hang out at each other's houses, bonfires, sports, things like that?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. During sort of those activities, was Kevin and Jennifer Kusterman together, or was it just one of the parents with the kids?
No, they were usually together. There were times during the summer that that Jen and my wife would get together with the kids to go to the beach and things like that, because Kevin and I were both working, and so we wouldn't be at all of those, but generally for the interactions that I was involved with, usually Kevin was there as well.
And during those interactions, did you have the opportunity to observe each Jennifer Kusterman and Kevin Kusterman and how they interacted with their children?
Yes. Yep.
How would you describe those interactions?
They, I would describe them both as being good parents. They were both kind of interested in the best interests of the kids. Parenting is,
I believe we would say in French, comme ci, comme ça. Comme ci, comme ça. That's what I would describe their parenting as. Again, I'm not really happy that they're talking about parenting. I wish they were talking about adult relations so I can make more jokes. Because you guys are, so am I in some ways.
stressful, so it wasn't always like they had to deal with some of the typical things you have to deal with in parents, as parents, discipline, telling the kids to knock it off, things like that, and I got to see them kind of both doing that.
Was there one parent doing the majority of the parenting, or was that kind of a shared activity, in your opinion or observations?
No, it seemed like a pretty shared activity.
I mean, boating was the main family activity. Thank you so much for pointing that out, Lisa. Boating activities. I know, Lisa, they're not landing because there's children involved in all of these cases. But remember, this is the deep-throating mom.
You mentioned that you're aware that the parties have been living separately for a few months now. Have the frequency of your interactions with the family, has that changed since the separation?
We have not seen Jen as much, but we continue to see Kevin and the kids.
What kind of things have you been doing with Kevin and the kids since their separation?
We've gone to football games have been the big one. Yeah, like I mentioned, I think I've been to I don't remember how many. I think they've had 3 or 4 home games, and I've been at 3 of those. Kevin was at all 3 of those that I attended, and so we'd see the kids at those as well.
Anything else that you were doing in the last few months with the family?
Yeah, Kelsey had a birthday party this past summer, and I believe that was since they had separated. And so that was something that Kevin got together. He made arrangements for that. And he was cooking the food, taking the kids out on the boat and things like that. And all the cousins were together for that.
Over the summer, the last few months, when it was just Mr. Kusterman and the kids, did you see that he was attending to the children's needs, food, clothing, day-to-day care,
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
supervision?
Right.
Any concerns raised in your mind at all about any of that?
No, I didn't, I haven't had any concerns. To the point that I let him take my kids. And am not concerned about their level of supervision, whether or not they'll be cared for, whether or not they'll have adequate oversight at all.
Speaking of adequate oversight, Deb's McC69 reminded me now, many minutes later. First of all, med check. If you take meds, take your meds. If you take them, think about taking them. If you don't need to take them, whatever, think about it. If you don't take meds, come on down to the chat and fucking explain yourself, because we would fucking love to hear about it. Literally nobody has taken me up on that offer yet. Not a single person. We're waiting. Anyways, also, listen. Oh, Courtney, yay, you're so fucking lucky. I'm jealous. Anyways, here's the story I'm going to tell about. So Debs earlier in a different chat told a story about a picture that she received or took of her you received it of your children and their children that had adult toys in the background. Am I correct? I believe I'm correct on that. Debs, tell me if I'm right or wrong, please and thank you. I can't even remember. I'm sure it was Ingredients and Mikey where we saw that earlier, but I don't recall 100p. I'll wait for Debs to respond. Received. Debs received pictures that she looked at and thought, these are so fucking cute. I'm gonna post these on Facebook. And so Debs went ahead and posted them on Facebook, and Debs didn't really look at them super close sometimes, I guess. And in those photos were adult toys. Now, I'm wondering, first of all, Debs, you got to tell us now, how did you find out about that? Did somebody respond to the pictures in the public comments and say, whoa, bitch, there's a dildo there? Or did somebody quietly message you and say, hey, you should take those pictures down? That's what I want to know. How did you be alerted to them? Because you obviously didn't notice when you first looked at them because you posted them, right? So was it in the comment section or did somebody approach you privately? Because here's my story about this exact same situation. Sort of. Oh my God. This story is even worse as I remember it fully. Oh my God. I don't know if I can. Okay, I'm going to tell as much of this story that I can appropriately. Your son called and said, take it off Facebook. Okay. That's even better. That's even better. Okay. Okay. So, okay. So, I, as an adult, by myself, with another adult, had a wonderful weekend. We fucked all over the house, many different places. It was amazing. We had lots of fun. We played with lots of adult toys. It was a great time. Amazing. Amazeballs. Great. One of our mutual friends had a baby shower that weekend. I appeared to that baby shower unacceptably hungover and like fucked up. Like to the point where I probably shouldn't have been at the baby shower. All the other parents that were like, that had kids, I didn't have kids. No, I did have, oh wait, sorry. I did have a kid. My kid was older, but, regardless, all the other parents that had kids were just like, oh my God, look at her. Do you smell that? And I'm like, oh my God. Wearing my fucking sunglasses and just like, I gave her the gift. It was a nice gift. And I sat there and I was like, are there mimosas? And they were like, no. And I was like, that's probably a missed opportunity for me. And, but the reason I went to that, other than staying in bed, because, I mean, let's be realistic, I normally would have stayed in bed and sent the gift via the mail, was because my boyfriend at the time was having people over. His sister was coming from out of town to visit. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna peace out and go to that baby shower, even though I am in no condition to go to the fucking baby shower. And you handle your sister, and we will then reconvene after and continue to fuck. Because that's what we were doing all the way up until the time that we parted. I go to the baby shower. I'm sort of asked to leave the baby shower. I leave the baby shower. I get to the house. I like grabbed dinner first and then I like came back to the house. And he was alone, lying on the couch. And I was like, how was your event? Like mine was a lot of work. I'm gonna tell you that right now. And he laughed and he's like, it was great. They sat right there. And he pointed over at this spot, like this couch sort of outcrop from the couch, like a little settee or whatever you call it, that sort of sat in front of the fireplace. And I was like, right there, hey? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, you guys take pictures? He was like, oh, yeah, we took pictures. We got to post them on Facebook. And I was like, pull the pictures up right now. And he was like, why? And I was like, well, there's a purple dildo sitting right there that I can see right now. So I'm pretty positive if they took pictures while they're sitting there, it's going to be a purple dildo in the back because I can still see the purple dildo. And he was like, oh my God. And I had to call his sister and get them to pull the pictures down off Facebook. And I was like, wow, we thought we cleaned everything up. And he was like, we did. I was like, I did a 10-second tidy. That is not 100%. That's a 10-second tidy. So I bet I was basically your son on the other end. Like, oh my God. But that's, you know what? On the other hand, that's a great place to be in a relationship. We didn't have any qualms about that. We were quite happy. We just continued to fuck. I was like, oh, there's that dildo. Oh man, so funny. Anyways, okay, so let's continue watching these petty people that probably never had that kind of experience.
Have you ever observed Mr. Kusterman and the children sort of express love, affection, a bond back and forth?
Yeah. Yeah, regularly.
And how do they do that?
Nothing that has so just to what me is like very normal and appropriate ways. Hugs, just words of affirmation from Mr. Kusterman. He tries to acknowledge when they're doing positive things. I've seen, the other thing that I've seen him do is even when he has had to enforce discipline or kind of get after the kids, right? He pays attention and will circle back around and try and offer some affirmations for them, right? To kind of.
Okay, I'd like everybody to write their affirmations, their morning affirmations in the chat, please. I would love to read them. My morning affirmation starts with, you can find your medication bottle and take it. That's my first affirmation in life. Morning, ladies.
Anytime you're enforcing consequences, that can be stressful to the relationship. And I've seen him pay attention to that. He comes back with an affirmation to try and, get back on the same page.
And you've observed him having to discipline the children. then. Is that correct?
Yes.
Anything about the discipline or how he disciplines that caused you concern that the discipline was inappropriate or excessive or aggressive?
No.
Have you ever witnessed Mr. Kusterman be physically aggressive or use force or violence with the children?
No. I've seen him. I've seen he and he and him, whichever and Calvin wrestle. But that's when I've seen that, it's Jen.
What the fuck are you talking about, dude? Kevin? Kevin? Fuck off, Kevin. What are you talking about, Kevin?
It's been sometimes Calvin going after him, and so nothing inappropriate that I've witnessed.
Is that play wrestling, or is that wrestling when Calvin is misbehaving?
Yeah, no, it's play wrestling.
Okay. Is there laughing at the time and smiles?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was more concerned about if the children are misbehaving. Have you ever witnessed any sort of like violence or inappropriate disciplinary methods from Mr. Kusterman?
No.
Have you ever observed Mrs. Kusterman discipline the children?
I've seen her reprimand them, and I think that's been the extent of it.
Nothing concerning there, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Did Mr. Kusterman recently reach out to you for some advice about counseling for his children?
Mr. Kusterman?
Yes, Kevin.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, I think I talked with both of them about whether or not where to go, things like that. In terms of available resources, it's hard to come by counselor.
Actually, great point. Do we think this is one of the guys that she deep-throated in order to get the puppy, but she didn't get the puppy?
For kids.
Right. In your line of work, do you have knowledge of like the resources available for counseling and therapy for children?
Correct.
And is it fair to say that both parents actively engaged you in that conversation?
Yes.
Did Mr. Kusterman, meaning Kevin, did he show an interest and concern and involvement in that?
Yes, he did. Yep. He was interested in getting the kids help if that was possible, and he showed concern about who they would be meeting with.
In any of your interactions with the family, the children, and Mr. and Mrs. Kusterman, did you ever see any incidents or times where either the children or Mrs. Kusterman appeared fearful of Mr. Kusterman?
No.
I have no further questions.
Any questions for this witness, Ms. Lentz? You're on mute.
Thank you. Just briefly, Your Honor, I apologize, Mr. Brien.
Correct.
When you were just asked who contacted you about counseling, is that because it was actually Jennifer that contacted you about getting the kids into counseling?
I was just thinking back. I spoke with both of them. So yeah, Jen had contacted me as well. I think she had. I don't remember at this point who contacted me first.
And would it be fair to say that Jennifer has reached out to you several times over the party's marriage for advice, resources?
Yes, she's there's been a handful of times where she's asked me some questions, and yeah.
Mr. Brien, you mentioned a birthday party that the defendant planned. Isn't it true that's the only birthday party he's ever planned?
I couldn't speak to that. I don't know his exact involvement in other birthday parties.
Mr. DeBrien, you mentioned 3 football games that you attended. Did you sit on the home side of the field or the visitor side of the field?
We sat on the visitor side.
And is that because Miss Kusterman was sat on the home side and the family was trying to avoid her?
At the time, there was some uncertainty, and my understanding was Mr. Kusterman was trying to be very conscientious about not violating a no contact order.
And Mr. DeBrien, do you think what a person does in public versus what a public person does in private, what do you think is more reflective of their true character?
Oh, that's a very philosophical question.
I know we're getting deep this morning.
I would say both are just different reflections of one's character.
I have no further questions for you, Mr. DeBrien.
Thanks.
Any redirect, Ms. Schmelzer?
Just one moment. With respect to the question recently about getting the kids into the counseling, is it your testimony that both parents were involved in reaching out to you for resources or inquiring with you about advice for resources?
Yes, correct.
With respect to the 3 football games that you attended, you did see Mr. Kusterman there, is that correct?
Yes.
All 3 of them?
Yes, correct.
And that was recently, is that fair to say?
Yes, this season.
This season. Have there been other games that you've attended just really throughout the course of the children ever since their birth that you attended where the children played?
Yes, yes. Between the 2 of us, 7 kids, we've been to all kinds of games and things like that.
And did you see Mr. Kusterman at those events for his children?
Yes, I've seen him at various events throughout the years.
And sort of this very philosophical question was asked of you, what a person does in public versus private, which is their reflective of their true character. Was your answer really hypothetical?
So my answer, right, that it reflects different parts of our character, I think is, is that hypothetical? I think it's philosophical, right? That's part of my job is helping people identify, get more familiar with their self, and to separate, right, our actions from our intentions is part of that process. Who we are is part of what we do and part of what we want to do.
If I could turn your attention specifically to the Kusterman family, that's who we're talking about here. We're not here to discuss philosophy and hypotheticals. Your testimony today about the family, about Mrs. Kusterman, Mr. Kusterman, and the children, is that from your firsthand observations?
Yes, correct.
And do you have any reason to believe that those firsthand observations of what you saw and experienced were false?
No, I do not.
I have no further questions.
Any final questions for this witness, Ms. Lentz?
Just one, Your Honor. Mr. DeBrien, are you with the parties 24 hours, 7 days a week?
I am with no one that frequently.
No further questions.
Thank you very much, sir. You're all set.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Guess what, guys? I apologize, but that's it for tonight. We are going to follow up with this tomorrow. We'll have a Saturday stream where we sucky Saturday stream where we watch the rest of this. Anyways, thank you so much for being here. Make sure that you've hit the like button. It really is helpful. If you want to help the most, go back and comment on an old video or this video once we end the live stream. I appreciate all of you, and I'm sorry that I have to go, but I do. And I love you so much. Remember, I love you, I'm proud of you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Sweet dreams, my little jelly beans. I'll be back tomorrow.